Guys, it's them.
It's us.
It's them.
It's the only picture we have together.
So it's paranormal romance. Uh-oh, it's backwards. Ooh, it's a hardcover. Ah, I feel so bad tearing this apart. So here's our bookmark. 2 pins. And then this. Your blood, my bones. Kelly, Andrew. Alrighty, so now I will walk through the process of how I rebind my books. I have a goal for this year. I want to rebind every single book that I read because I just find the process so fun and relaxing, even though this is really scary right here when you have to tear apart the books. This cover was so beautiful. I felt so bad ripping it apart. My friend Mallory, who owns the bookstore, said that this is book murder, and she is right. It is book murder. And this part actually isn't as scary as it looks. Yeah, you're gonna lose a page or two, but 99% of the time, your book still stays together. And by the way, this is my dog, Mochi. Isn't she so cute? For some reason, she was licking this book. I don't know why. And as you can see here, I have this beautiful piece of fabric. I got this from Joann's. They are going out of business. Very sad about that, but all of their fabric is half priced, so that was awesome. You can kind of see here that I'm taking this interfacing and cutting it to size. What I'm going to do is I'm going to iron this on. And this is how I make my book cloth. I find it works pretty well. You definitely want to make sure you have the interfacing ironed on. You can't just use any old cotton fabric because I find that the glue will sometimes leak through and it'll get like all gross and wobbly, but this is my tried and true practice. I haven't really had any issues with this, and yes, it's not as nice as book cloth, but I'm never able to find any really cool patterns for book cloth, and also book cloth is like super expensive, so this is a lot cheaper. And now I'm just kind of cutting my corners. This part is also really scary. I always worry that I'm going to cut my corners too closely to the actual bookcase. But it's geometry. It all makes sense in the end because once you have the corners cut, it'll all fold over really nicely. Now here's the fun part. We're going to start gluing everything down. So I always start with the spine first, and I try to make sure I get a good amount of glue into the creases as well, because as you'll see here, I flip over, take my handy dandy bone folder, and go in and really reinforce those creases because I love a nice crisp crease on my book. And then after that, I'm going to flip up each side and add a hefty amount of glue. Again, we have that interfacing ironed on, so I'm not too worried about the glue like leaking through or causing it to like get all wobbly. I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I mean. But I don't really have that issue when I have the interfacing. It's pretty good quality. Now we're flipping everything over and we are going to glue down the edges. This part, I mean, you can cut down your edges a little bit more. As you can see, mine are really hanging over the rest of the bookcase, but it's gonna get covered up by your end pages anyways, so that doesn't really matter to me. And I kind of like the look of when it's like, it looks like a present, you know? I also get really anxious that like I'm going to cut it too short and it's not going to go over all the way. That's never happened to me before, but like I said, I have anxiety. But pretty self-explanatory. I don't really have any tips or tricks for this. So now I am taking this muslin, I think is what it's called. It's basically like a cheesecloth. And I'm gluing that to the spine, even though there's already, like the spine is still glued together, obviously. I'm just doing this to add an extra support and reinforcement for when we glue on the bookcase. And you can see there in the middle, the like little edge that I cut off to make sure that it fit. I'm just gluing on top. And some people will use like cardstock to do that, but I like to just add an extra little bit of muslin. Okay, I always forget what these things are called. I think they're called like end caps or end toppers, but you just put them at the top and bottom of your spine underneath the muslin, like I'm doing here, and this will help to reinforce the book when it opens and closes. And I like to make mine the same fabric as my spine and my bookcase. Now that our spine is all prepped and finished, our final part of the bookbinding for this portion will be just gluing in our end pages. And I got mine to be like this cutie green shade, but you can really do whatever you want. You just gotta get like a piece of cardstock and cut it to size. And then voila, we are going to just put everything in our book press and let that dry, ideally for 24 hours, but I think I did like an hour or two. This is the super fun part of weeding our vinyl. I have a love-hate relationship with weeding. This one wasn't too bad. I did get the Cricut brand vinyl, so it weeded a little bit more smoothly. I did kind of notice some issues when I was ironing it on, but I think I liked it. So yeah, I didn't do anything too crazy with my Cricut design this time. I wanted to go a more simple route because I have a pretty busy pattern with the floral pattern from Joann. So I did really want to try layering vinyl. That's something I've never done before. It's really scary because HTV vinyl can be very, very particular, and I actually messed it up the first go around and I had to remove it from my bookcase. So that was pretty annoying, but this part that I filmed turned out a lot better. And as you can see, I'm weeding out some of the gold vinyl here that I'm going to end up layering. Yeah, HTV is really tricky. My only tip is just to find a brand that you really like. This is just an Amazon brand. I'll link it in the bio. I like this better than the Cricut brand. I tried it first with the Cricut brand and it turned out so badly that I just took everything off and did it with the brand that I use for all of my other book rebindings. But yeah, this is just a brand I found on Amazon, and the magenta that I used on top of this gold foil is from Cricut, and I did like it. I did think it layered nicely, but I mean, look at this. It's peeling off like a dream. My first go around was so much worse. I wanted to cry, but this actually turned out really nicely, and now I feel a lot more confident about my foil layering skills. I did notice that this is kind of crooked, and I'm just gonna have to live with it. I'm upset about it, but I don't think it's that noticeable once the book is actually constructed, but I was really sad about that. So now that we have our finished bookcase, we are going to put everything together. And I always thought that this part would be like the hardest, but it's actually the easiest. And you're just gonna take a bunch of glue, spread it over your book, over those end pages that you glued down, and really you're just gonna let the gravity of the book do the work for you. So I just fold it over, put it on the other side, and everything seems to work out pretty good. I think also the quality of the paper you use is important. This is like pretty thick cardstock, so you can kind of see there's no like glaring bubbles. And you guys, this is our very first bookbind for this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please support Sincerely Yours Bookstore, where I bought this book. My two best friends just opened that bookstore, so please go support them. And please subscribe to me. Bye!